I went to the store for milk and bread and left with a secret that pulled my whole life into focus. In a quiet corner of a parking lot, under a buzzing lamp in a sky about to rain, my son leaned closer and whispered 6 words that turned ordinary time into a before and after. I thought I knew how my week would go. I didn't. What he said changed everything I thought I understood about being his mother and about letting myself be cared for. Before I begin, do me a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. Are you in Phoenix, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Anchorage? I'm Maria, 52, and I want to picture your streetlights when I remember this night. The parking lot behind the grocery store is brighter than it should be at dusk. The kind of harsh white light that flattens the world into outlines, curbs, oil stains. The crooked shopping carts that never make it back to the bay. My cart's wobble is familiar. A tiny metronome. The milk sweats in its jug. A loaf of bread, tomatoes, a jar of sauce because I'm tired. The wind smells like rain and hot asphalt. I tell myself I will get in, drive home, and heat something simple, while the washer thumps in the background. And the news murmurs about storms somewhere I've never been. Then a car door shuts 2 rows over, a sound I'd know even in a crowd. My son's old habit of closing gently, as if even a door deserves respect. Aaron crosses the painted lines with his hands in his jacket pockets. And that half smile that makes his face look like it did when he was 5 and learning to tie his shoes. Concentrated, hopeful. His hair is longer than the last time I saw him, and there's a crease between his brows I don't remember. Or maybe I do, and I won't admit it. We've both been busy pretending we aren't tired. "Hey ma," he says, and the word lands soft. He was always the one to make a greeting sound like a favor he's giving himself. I was in the area. That is the kind of thing you say when you've driven across town on purpose. I lift a hand, then lower it. "You hungry?" "Always." He takes the cart handle like it belongs to him and we walk toward my car. Footsteps, wheels squeaking. The weather app warned about rain at 7, and it is 60:59 in my bones. I can smell the first cold drops hiding behind the warm air. It's funny what you can predict when you've lived long enough. Weather, the way a cashier will say. "Have a good one?" The shape of a day that looks like all the others. We pack the trunk in a practiced rhythm. He passes. I stack. This is our second language. He notices the new dent on the bumper. "You okay?" The cart got away from me. It's not a lie exactly, but it isn't the truth he's asking about. He means, am I okay in that mother way that covers money, sleep, blood pressure? The dread you can't put a finger on. I consider telling him about the folded paper in my purse with the doctor's neat handwriting and numbers that pressed a fingerprint of worry into my afternoon. I consider telling him about the letter from the bank, the water heater's stubborn drip, the loneliness that wakes up with me like a neighbor's dog that won't stop barking. Instead, I say, "You know how these carts are." He doesn't push. That's new. Or maybe it's the first thing that's changed. "Let me drive," he says, and it sounds less like a request than a courtesy. I hand him the keys. He adjusts the seat a little, not much, because he's grown into my height. He keeps my radio station, a late night mix of oldies that keeps me calm in traffic, and laughs when the DJ pronounces Chicago like a cousin he's proud of. I watch his hands on the wheel, the same hands that brought me dandelions and report cards, and once in a cardboard box. A squirrel he thought he could save. Those hands are steady now. He's become the kind of man who reads instructions, who remembers birthdays, who replaces the lint trap before it's full. We don't drive. Not yet. The engine hums while we sit with the windows cracked a finger width. The amber glow of the lot paints his jawline a warmer color than he wears in daylight. The world outside is busy being a world. Someone backing up too fast. A teenager practicing reverse. A man in a neon vest gathering carts like a shepherd. Inside it's quiet. We are two people in a car, a mother and a son. And between us there is something we've avoided so long. It feels like a piece of furniture, heavy and familiar, and always in the wrong place. The last time we talked about anything real, we got tangled in old knots. The argument about Dad's tools after the funeral. The job offer he turned down because he said he wanted to see life up close. My mouth too quick with fear, his too quick with pride. We spoke, then we stopped. We texted weather and grocery sales and pictures of the dog we don't have yet. "Ma," he says again, quieter. He leans closer, not to be dramatic, but because the parking lot hum swallows things. The heater sighs. I smell pine from the old air freshener I never remember to replace. He reaches out and touches the edge of the torn leather on the dash. The way he used to touch a loose tooth to test if it was ready to come out. "I need to tell you something." The air pays attention when your child says that. Even the buzzing lamp seems to hold its breath. I nod once. "Okay." He looks at my hands, at the way I fold them when I'm bracing for news. He learned that from me. This instinct to measure a listener before you deliver the line. He moves a little closer so his voice won't travel farther than my ear. A warm raindrop finds the windshield and draws a curved line like a beginning. Then he whispers, only for me, "I'm moving back, Mom, so you don't have to carry this alone." 6 words, and the space inside my chest rearranges itself to make room for air I didn't know I'd been hoarding. I don't speak. Not right away. The car smells like rain and old pine and the detergent we both use, because it's always on sale. My throat does that tight thing it did the day I brought him home, and couldn't figure out how to buckle the car seat. The day he took the train to his first job, with a tie he tied twice. I am not a woman who cries easily. Years teach you that tears are a luxury, like hot coffee you drink sitting down, but my eyes sting before my mind catches up. "What do you mean?" It comes out smaller than I intend. He rests his forehead lightly against the steering wheel and laughs in that way that means he's scared. Exactly what I said. I talked to my boss. I can transfer to the branch 10 minutes from you. I signed a short lease because I thought you'd argue. I didn't tell you sooner because I wanted to be sure. I'm here. If you'll have me. A new raindrop follows the first. On the radio, a singer from another century is asking someone to take it easy. I think about the paper in my purse. About the numbers I didn't understand and was too afraid to Google. About the way the technician's smile was kind but practiced, like a coat she wore for strangers. I think about the empty chair at the kitchen table that I pretend not to see. About the sink that drips, the ladder I don't trust myself to climb, and the way silence sticks to the walls after midnight. You have your life. I say, the old reflex rising like a shield. Your friends, your everything. I won't be the reason you stop. He turns, not sharp but firm. And there is my child and the man he became layered in one face. You were the reason I had anything. You worked doubles. You fixed 12 different things with duct tape. You told me the truth even when it hurt. You think I can't rearrange a few things to be near you when you need me. He shakes his head, gentler now. This isn't sacrifice. This is what I want. There is a me that lived in my 20s who would have argued out of habit, out of the belief that love always asks you to do more than you can. The me at 52 is tired of that math. But tired isn't the same as ready. It takes me a second to find the right shelf in my heart to set his words on so they don't fall. How long have you known? I ask. He smiles without teeth. The way his father used to when he'd say something difficult and kind. Since you told me the doctor wanted a follow-up. Since I saw you reaching for the top shelf at the store, in that way you do, when you think no one's looking. Since I realized our texts were all weather, I started thinking about what we were doing, about how pride is just fear with good shoes, and I didn't like the answer. So, I made a new one. I laugh, unexpected. It's a sound that trips on a memory. Him at 16. Refusing my offer to drive him to the dance, then texting me from the parking lot, because his shoe broke and he needed the roll of tape I always kept in the glove compartment. Pride and tape. Our family crest. You're sure? I say. This isn't you trying to fix me like you fixed that squirrel. That squirrel had a broken leg and an attitude, he says. You have a stubborn streak and perfectly good legs. I'm not fixing you. I'm standing next to you. The rain thickens, speckling the windshield with a rhythm that makes everything feel suspended. We sit inside the small warm circle of the car and let the parking lot become an aquarium of lights. He tells me about the transfer, about the apartment with windows that face east so mornings will be bright, about the couch he found that folds out because he's practical the way I tried to teach him, about the plant he killed trying to be a person who keeps plants alive. He tells me he signed nothing that can't be unsigned, that he's not moving into my house unless I want him to, that he will respect the way I like things, even when it seems silly. Like how I keep the spices in alphabetical order, not because it's sensible, but because it's my ritual. He tells me he's been seeing someone at the clinic once a week to talk. That talking is the gym for your heart, and he wants to be strong in the right places. He says, I was wrong about the argument after the funeral. He says, I'm sorry. Like a promise, not a plea. I listen. He has always been loud with laughter and quiet with his plans. I suppose he finally learned to bring the private things out into the light. The pride I feel is an old coat that still fits. It warms me. You remember when you were 9? I say. And you wanted to learn to ride without training wheels. He nods. You kept saying, don't let go. Don't let go. And I promised I wouldn't. I lied. I let go 3 houses before you turned. You were furious until you realized you'd done it by yourself. He leans back, watches the raindrops chase each other down the glass. You never really let go, he says. You just ran beside me where I couldn't see. It's a small sentence, but I feel it land where my fear sits. And for once, the fear gives a little. I reach over and cover his knuckles with my palm. His skin is warm. We hold like that, mother and son, 2 pairs of bones fitting together in a quiet that is not silence, but the sound of something being repaired without clatter. I don't want to be your burden, I say again, because it is the hardest sentence to unlearn. He nods because he's not here to argue with my bones. You won't be, he says. You'll be my reason. There's a difference. The rain lets loose a curtain. The world outside blurs, the way it does when you drive through a car wash, but we are still. He turns the wipers on and the glass clears, and I can see the stone, cold fact that my life just grew a second pair of hands. Maybe that is what changed everything. Not the logistics, but the permission he gave me to stop being alone in the ways I had decided were necessary. What if I say yes? I ask. It sounds like a test, but it isn't. It's the kind of question you ask when you want to feel the weight of the word in your mouth before you hand it your life. Then we'll go slow, he says. We'll make a list. We'll argue about the order and laugh anyway. We'll tell each other when we're scared. We'll learn to let the other person reach the top shelf sometimes. I breathe. The air feels different, as if it finally belongs to me. I imagine the light in his new apartment, the east-facing windows with morning pouring in like a promise you don't have to chase. I imagine a Sunday where we read the paper and pretend it's for the articles. I imagine arguing about which spoon is best for soup. I imagine being a person who is allowed to sit while someone else brings in the groceries, and that being neither defeat nor indulgence, but simply an act of love. In the rearview mirror, I catch my own face and don't look away. The lines are there. So are my mother's cheekbones and my father's stubborn mouth. I look tired, yes, but also like someone who might be ready to put down a bag. Okay, I say. The word is small, but it is not fragile. It is the click of a seatbelt, the lock on a front door at night. Okay. He doesn't whoop or clap or call me brave. He squeezes my hand once and sets both of his back on the wheel, right at 10 and 2 like his driver's ed teacher drilled into him. Let's take the long way home, he says. Let the rain earn its keep. We roll out slowly, the tires drawing quiet S in the thin water. The bulbs in the tall lamps wear halos now. The man in the neon vest lifts 2 fingers in a lazy salute. And I return it because we are both doing the kind of work that doesn't get applause. The exit to the street blinks its turn arrow, and we wait through a full cycle with the windows open an inch, breathing in wet air that smells like metal and tomatoes. And whatever comes next, I don't know everything this will require. I know there will be new arguments and old habits to unteach. I know pride will try to put on its good shoes and tell me to walk it back. But I have a picture I can hold now. The two of us in a small kitchen with morning lying across the counter like a bright scarf. Aaron laughing at something on the radio. Me pointing at a plant that is still alive. I hold that picture the way you hold a warm mug in January, 2 hands close to the heart. We turn left onto the road that threads through my neighborhood and then his, though soon maybe they will be the same. The rain softens. The world becomes itself again. I let my head rest against the seat as the car hums, and I tell myself the truth I once reserved only for him. You can be loved without proving you deserve it. Every minute we pass the pharmacy. The diner, with the neon open sign, buzzing stubbornly. The little hardware store, where the owner knows the exact screw you need by the way you describe the door it holds. The city blurs and then pulls into focus like a memory you're ready to keep. I roll the window down a little more and let the damp air touch my face. Beside me, my son taps the wheel in time with a song that loses the station and finds it again. He glances over and I nod. And that is the whole conversation we need for now. If you're watching from a city I don't know, imagine your own parking lot lights in this reflection on my window. Imagine the way rain can make even the ugliest places look like they're shining. Imagine a sentence that rearranges the furniture in your life so there's room for you to sit down. That's what his whisper did. That's what I said yes to. And somewhere in this slow circle of streets, I feel something old unclench. Not because I'm weaker, but because I'm finally not alone at the wheel. When we pulled out of that parking lot, I thought I could breathe again. But in truth, that breath was only the beginning of something larger. The rain slowed as we drove, and the wipers swept the last of the water from the glass. Aaron's words still pressed into me, soft but permanent, like a handprint on wet cement. I'm moving back. It circled in my mind, as if my heart didn't yet believe my ears. The night seemed to change color with every street lamp we passed. The world quieter but also wider, as though space had opened where it had been closed. We took the long road home, as he'd suggested. I watched the familiar shops and houses roll by, some lit, some dark, each one carrying lives I would never know. And yet I felt less alone among them than I had in years. I thought about the countless evenings I'd driven this road with nothing but the hum of the engine to keep me company, convincing myself that solitude was strength, that needing no one was the prize for surviving. But now, with Aaron's steady hands at the wheel, I could admit the truth. I had been waiting for someone to remind me that strength also meant knowing when to accept help. At a red light, he reached for the radio and tuned it down, letting the silence fill the car. His profile in the glow of the dashboard looked older than I wanted it to, but not in a way that saddened me. There was a calmness there, a steadiness his younger self never carried. For a moment, I wondered if maybe he wasn't just moving closer for me. Maybe he was moving closer for himself too. "Ma," he said without looking over, "do you remember when I used to ride with you to the night shift? You'd drop me at Aunt Carol's, and I'd fall asleep on her couch." His voice softened. "I never forgot how you'd drive away, even when you were so tired your eyes could barely stay open. I used to wonder how you did it." The memory bloomed sharp in my chest. I could still see his small face pressed against the window, his breath fogging the glass. The way he'd wave even though his hands were heavy with sleep. "I did it because I had to," I said. "That's what mothers do,"